Blonde.
Hot.
Pink.
Sexy.
Shallow.
Plastic.
Girly.
Fake.
The perfect girl.
It's Barbie.
True, Barbie absolutely shapes the culture, but the doll and her paraphernalia primarily reflect the culture. Barbie is the scapegoat, not the problem. Barbie was based on a caricature in a German newspaper in the Bild Zeitung, a cartoon figure named Lily, who was a hooker. And she's an exaggeration of 1950s femininity. I mean, her waist is ridiculously small. Her legs are extremely long, which has nothing to do with biological femaleness. It's a drag queen's body. It's a caricature of femininity.
With the 1950s coming to a close, the women's liberation movement started to become a force. The civil rights movement provoked a gender consciousness movement in which women recognized they didn't have equal status compared to men. Texts such as Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique surged and started a backlash against 1950s gender propaganda. An event which exemplified the changing ideas towards a woman's role in society was the boycott of the Miss America pageant in 1968.
You can have wars and atom bombs, but so it seems there must always be a Miss America.
The Women's Liberation Front protested the pageant in Atlantic City, New Jersey, under the surveillance of FBI anti-riot squads.
They decided to stage a boycott, protest of the Miss America pageant because they were feeling that it just embodied everything that was wrong with society in terms of objectifying women and just sort of producing a lot of the stereotypes about women.
Protesters threw stereotypical feminine items such as makeup, bras, and high-heeled shoes into freedom trash cans. The protests transfixed the media and gave women greater awareness of the feminist movement.
Just things like that made gradual change that has resulted in some significant change. I would say actually the changes that occur not just in the 1960s but over the course of the 20th century for women are some of the biggest changes for all of American society, actually.
Barbie as a marketing phenomenon really begins in 1955 with the company Mattel, which was the first toy company to advertise directly to children via television. In 1955, they risked their entire net worth to pay for advertising on the Mickey Mouse Club program. I mean, if this strategy had failed, they would have been kaput, but it didn't, and it changed the toy industry forever. What had been a mom and pop business with a seasonal focus on Christmas became a year-round business. And in terms of the amount of money involved, the sky became the limit.
May I help you, ladies?
We'd like to see the newest Barbie clothes.
Of course, Barbie, the famous teenage fashion model doll by Mattel.
And they contracted with this legendary researcher named Ernst Dichter. Dichter's cunning idea was that mothers who were anxious about their daughter's femininity would give the daughters a Barbie doll in the hope that it might teach the little girls to be less of a, gruff, surly, soccer-playing tomboy.
I was much more of an outdoor, active, down-to-earth, no makeup, athletic tomboy.
I think Barbie's the best. I think she's much better than Bratz.
Which ones would you like?
I think I'd like all of them. You can tell they're Mattel. They're swell.
But the way that Ernst Dichter figured out how to sell this doll was to prey on the anxieties of mothers. Remember, in the late 50s and early 60s, women were still very dependent on men and marrying men, on their husbands, as a source of income, as a meal ticket. So being able to get a man was really important to little girls, almost more than learning a trade to support themselves.
Not only did women look for suitable husbands as a means of survival in the 1960s, they also wanted the prestige that came with acquired wealth and a desirable family tree. Finding the right husband became a metaphor for climbing higher on the social ladder.
That a lot of the women who complain about Barbie's gender messages are really complaining about her class messages.
There's Teacher Barbie, Beach Barbie, Lawyer Barbie, and Singer Barbie.
I don't have an issue with Barbie. I think other than her unrealistic measurements and proportions, I think she has a pure aspect to her.
No way, no way, no way am I going to subject my kids to Barbie and allow that little creature to do to my children what she did to me.
I also think she's a younger child's toy, so I think that her unrealistic proportions don't come into play as much.
Once I went to the mirror and I looked at Barbie and then I looked at myself and we didn't look too similar. She was a lot different than me.
I think Barbie's going to last forever. I called my book Forever Barbie because I think she will always be with us. She's a totem, for better or worse, of what is coded as femininity in this culture, by which I don't mean biological femaleness, but femininity, a collection of coded behaviors that signal something rather than a biological state of affairs.
Barbie evolved from the great developments of the 1960s and has continued to reflect the goals of the feminist movement. She does this by embodying an independent, successful woman who strives to achieve her goals. Will she stay this way? Will the future change her? Only time will tell.